Everyone, as we are getting into Fahrenheit 451, we are going to be discussing this week the idea of banning books or books that have been challenged and have been taken out of school libraries or been protested against. The list goes on and on. This has been in the news a lot recently, actually, with a lot of states really cracking down on what is in children's libraries. And it raises some really good points. Should certain books be banned from certain age groups? Now, of course, there are some obvious things, just kind of like how we have ratings for movies. We have, R-rated movies. We shouldn't be having books that have explicit material available for little children. It's not appropriate. It might scare them for whatever reason. A great example of this is a movie example, but we went to take our children when they were little to go see the Peanuts movie. And we were sitting in the dark, and I noticed that some of the previews just seemed a little bit odd for that age group. And as we were watching the movie started to come on, and I realized it was the Fantastic Beasts movie. And in the very first scene, someone is murdered. And so we were sitting in this darkened theater with all of these little children, mostly 8 and under. All of a sudden, one of the parents jumps up and runs out of the movie theater, and they stopped the movie, luckily, before it got to the murder part, because it wasn't appropriate for that particular age group. But for this purpose of this discussion, we're going to be talking about specifically middle school, high school age. And just talking about should certain books be banned. And so, what I have for you right here is the top banned or challenged books according to the American Library Association from the last decade. And so I'm posting this list on D2L for you to kind of peruse through because this is like 100 books. But I want you to go through it and just see, have you read any of these? I've actually read quite a few of them. Absolute True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. It's a fantastic book, but it really does deal with some really hard situations like alcoholism and puberty. It does have a self-pleasure scene in the book, or they discuss it anyway. And so, that's probably one of the main reasons that is banned. I let my kids read Captain Underpants. We have seen the Captain Underpants movie. 13 Reasons Why. I have seen both the series on Netflix and I have read the book. It's a pretty intense book. Let's see here. I'm trying to think of some of the ones that I've actually read. I've read The Hunger Games, To Kill a Mockingbird. To Kill a Mockingbird, which is number 15 here. Again, it deals with a lot of race issues. It has the N word in it, as does Down the Road. I can't remember what number it is, but Huckleberry Finn is on here. And so Huckleberry Finn is frequently banned, again, because it has a runaway slave in the book. It uses the N word. And one big question that comes up is like, should we be banning books that were written 50 to 100 years ago that maybe have some language or ideals that are not considered okay in today's society, but they were 50 to 100 years ago? Should we be banning those? Should we be changing the words in them to make them fit in with today's society, or do we leave them alone so that way we can see, oh, this is the way it was back then. We don't do that anymore because we've progressed. So, I mean, you know, there's a whole lot that goes into it. I've read Scary Stories. Sometimes I wonder why that's on there. It's kind of fun. Brave New World is an interesting book. I have read that one. Of Mice and Men, Handmaid's Tale. There's Huckleberry Finn. It's down at number 33. A Child Called It is very disturbing. It's about one of the worst abuse cases for child abuse cases ever seen in the United States, and it's autobiography. If you have a weak stomach, I do not recommend reading it. I'm just kind of Goosebumps. I read Goosebumps a lot when I was little. Color Purple. The Holy Bible is on there, which that's really not surprising. Anne Frank, Diary of a Young Girl, The Giver. I mean, just a lot of books that I grew up reading. I don't think what's really funny is I'm pretty sure, nope, they don't have it on there, but Harry Potter usually makes the list. Like a lot of people are out there banning Harry Potter because they're like, it's witchcraft. Actually, we just watched Ender's Game with the movie version with my child. I have a copy of Ready Player One, which is another kind of fun book, but I forgot how much swearing was in there. And I handed it to my younger teenage daughter, and she was like, Mom, this has like the F bomb in there so much. I was like, oops, kind of forgot about that. Uh, but anyway, just these are the books. Oh, I have read this one, number 69. I have read that too much to myself. I have shared that with people. Is actually kind of funny. Should it be banned? I might post a link to that in the discussions just so y'all can see it. Is it appropriate? Maybe not. But anyway, I'm going to post this list. I just want you to read through it, answer the discussion questions, and but just be thinking about this concept of books that are banned, books that are censored, as you're reading Fahrenheit 451. And just, one of the central ideas in the book as to why they banned books in the first place is that it was causing division in society. So, is that true to an extent? Do some of the books we read cause major divisions in society? Because one of the reasons why we read literature, and I've mentioned this several times in class, is because it allows us to step into someone's shoes who is living a life that we might not be able to understand. Like, as a white woman, I don't know what it's like to be a black man. I don't. I don't know what it's like to be an immigrant. My family has been in this country either through being a Native American or coming over. I think my ancestors came over in the late 1600s, 1700s. And so I don't have a concept of what it's like to be an immigrant to a country because I've lived in Tennessee all my life, and so has most of my family. But being able to read books about people who have different experiences, different religions, different race, different sexual orientations, the list goes on, it allows us to see what life is like for them. And the question always comes up, well, is what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, what should be banned, what should be kept. And so I just want you to be thinking about that as you're reading Fahrenheit 451. It's a very interesting book. I know a lot of you probably have read it when you were younger, possibly in, my daughter's actually reading it as a freshman in high school right now. And so I did choose a graphic novel on purpose just to kind of give you a different genre in order to explore if you've not really explored graphic novels before. I hope you're enjoying it, or at least if you're not enjoying it, you're appreciating it. But yes, just answer the questions in the discussion, and I look forward to reading what you have to say.